when there's events that are tragic events that occur, it's a chiyuv for the Bnei Chabura to be doyeg, it says in the Gemara, and to be concerned, to look around to see what can they be mekabel on themselves as some sort of tikkun, and take the opportunity to be mischazik, to be nis'er in some particular inyan as a response to things that go on. The two people that we are here tonight in Zichron Nishmasam, Ridman Alav Shalom and Rav David Levine Alav Shalom, we're both Mibnei Chabura here, and we felt it's appropriate to gather together to see what we could do to be mischazik and do something to be makabel le'ilu nishmasam. We felt it was appropriate based on certain things that were said at the Levaya, that both of these people were amudim of Torah and Chesed, but there's an amud of Avodah that was mentioned that these two people stood for very strongly. In Rabbi Ben Zichron mentioned that he thinks that there was nobody that had ever complained to him about what Rabbi Shlomo Ruderman complained, that he came to him and said davening is too fast. You got to slow it down. I need more time to daven. To take davening seriously, to come and to daven properly on time and use all the time and daven seriously. Rabbi Levine's son, the only thing that they asked for in the mishpacha was that the oilam should be niskabel together and be mischazik in tefillah, understand the tefillahs better, and mischazik in the tefillahs. So, especially coming to the days leading up to Purim, it's extremely appropriate to be mischazik in the inyan of tefillah in general. Tefillah is, the Rambam says that the entire day and holiday and Chag, Yom Tov of Purim was niskan. The takon of it was to mechazik in us the inyan of tefillah, that the whole nace and the whole geula of Klal Yisrael happened through the inyan of tefillah, and Purim is this was Chazal were mesakin to mechazik in us the inyan of tefillah. Lo dienu she'emesu mashivtichanu b'Torah ki mi gadol. Who is the nation? Kashem gadol shel lo yelkim krevim elav kashem elokeinu b'chol kareinu elav. That a Kadosh Baruch Hu answers our tefillahs, and this is the whole point of the Yom Tov of Purim, is to mischazik in that inyan. The Gemara says that Mordechai was chosen as the shliach for the geula of Purim because he was mitzdayan in the inyan of tefillah. His whole name was tefillah. It says Yair Hashem ben Sheheyer, a name Sheisor b'tfilasei ben Shimi ben Sheshama kel tfilasei ben Kish Shehikish al Shari Rachmim v'niftuchuloi. So the inyan of Purim, and it's appropriate to mischazik in the tefillah. The Gemara Bracha says that Elu Darim She'andim Rumah Shalom Adam Mizalzalim Bayim. The Rashi says tefillah, people are mizalzal in it, and it's important to be mischazik in it. And there's many things that each person has to think about what they can mischazik in their tefillah, coming on time, saying it slowly, understanding the words, like we said. But we wanted, discussing with Rosh Kollel, Rabbi Singer, and Rabbi Friedman, that it's important that the tzibur be mischazik. Specifically, what we wanted to discuss was the inyan of talking in shul, talking during davening. And this is an opportunity as a tzibur to makabel this inyan and to mischazik in this inyan specifically, along with every other area that comes with the inyan of tefillah and being mischazik in tefillah in general. So there's a famous statement made by the Shulchan Aruch. The Shulchan Aruch says that, Rabbi Friedman will discuss later the pratim of what it says in the Shulchan Aruch, but the Shulchan Aruch does say that when it comes to Chazaras Hashatz, if a person talks during Chazaras Hashatz, goyer and boy, the gadol avoynoi minsoi, his avera is too heavy to bear. And this is a very, very strong statement. A statement that doesn't say it anywhere in Shulchan Aruch. Not that I would know that if it would say it anywhere in Shulchan Aruch, but I heard from Rav Tisel Salman on many occasions, and he said it doesn't say anywhere else in Shulchan Aruch this lashon. Godol avonim inside. There's only one other place that it says it when Cain killed Hevel. Godol avonim inside. So this person talks to us, Chazal Sashat, you're going to compare him to that. He didn't kill anybody. He didn't eat on Yom Kippur. What's this Aveir Godol avonim inside? It's impossible to bear. Why is it impossible to bear? What did he do wrong? Spoke to him Chazal Sashat. Tiseo said an unbelievable pshat. So pshat is that you find by David HaMelech. David HaMelech, at the end of his life, wanted to get, he was cold, and he put on begadim on him, and he couldn't get warm from the begadim. Why couldn't he get warm from the begadim? So Chazal tell us because he was mevazeh begadim. When it came to Shaul, and he cut off a piece of the beged, and he was mevazeh the begadim. So when a person doesn't take advantage, and he's mevazeh a certain inyan, that inyan cannot come back later and help him. So when David HaMelech was mevazeh the begadim, he no longer was able later to take advantage of the begadim and have it warm him up. When a person is oimed in a shul and they're coming to daven, you have to understand that a shul is the last place that the Shekhinah is standing. There is nowhere else in the world that the Shekhinah stands like in a Beis HaKnesses. And especially Beis HaKnesses, which is also Beis HaMedrash, which people learn in, like this one and others. That means that Kadosh Baruch Hu, the greatest place of the Shekhinah, is right here in the Beis Medrash. And a person's coming to daven and utilize the Beis Medrash for this purpose. And what are they doing when they're coming to utilize the Beis Medrash to daven? They turn to their friend and they discuss the latest absurdity that the news said about this thing, and they discuss their business deal that did go through and that didn't go through, and the latest joke that they saw on this site, and it's a complete bizayon to the inyan of tefillah. A person's coming to the place of the Shekhinah, a person's coming to be mevakesh from a Kadosh Baruch Hu something, and they're distracted completely with narishkeit and things that completely have nothing to do with the kedusha of the makom, the kedusha of the inyan that they're in the middle of. So they're being mevazeh the Beis HaMedrash, they're being mevazeh the Beis HaKnesses, and they're being mevazeh the tefillah. So later on, they're going to come, and there's going to come a loyalenu, a zman, that they're going to need to take advantage of tefillah. Everyone needs to come on to tefillah at some point, whether we know it or we're not. But this is the most powerful tool that remains in the planet. There's nothing else more powerful than going to the Bari Olam himself and asking for something. And a person that was already mevazeh that tool can no longer come and utilize that tool. They're going to come and daven, and Kadosh Baruch Hu is going to say, daven. Now you want to daven, you mevazeh this inyan. This is not for you. This tool is not available for you anymore. It's available for those people that take advantage and take it seriously. People that are mevazeh the inyan of tefillah, you want it now, v'lo yecham lo. The begadim won't work for you. Godol avonim minsai, because a person cannot imagine. It's so hard to bear because a person cannot imagine what they could have accomplished with their tefillah. How many people could they have given a refuah shlema to? How many people could they have saved their parnasa? How many people could they have helped in different inyanim themselves? And what could they have done with their tefillah? Imagine if every tefillah that they asked for was answered. And now, they don't have that tool anymore. Godol avoina minsai, a person that comes and their attitude is not with the proper kovid rosh, not with the proper kovid for the inyan, for the makom. Godol avoina minsai, like Rabbi Aaron Leib says, that when a person comes to daven, bizman she'adam oimid b'tefillah, I'm reading from the Sefer Rabbi Aaron Leib Shaimin, he says, Yanidve be'enav d'chol ha'olam oimed u'metzape alav. Everyone is waiting for your tefillah. You could save the entire world. And without your tefillah, who knows? Maybe half the world won't have mazon, or half the world won't have mayim. And it's up to you. And what did you do? You threw it out because you said over a joke that seemed funny, or discussed something that you thought was important at the moment. So this tool, you lost the koyach to do it. So Godol avoina minsai. Imagine how many people are waiting for your tefillah. How many people are waiting for this tefillah to go through, and we don't have the koyach to do it anymore. I was thinking of Michel. You have there's one doctor that comes out that he has the immunization or the cure for the coronavirus, but it's very expensive and it's not possible to get an appointment with him. And finally, the entire community, city gets together and they raise enough money to send one shliach, one person, and they give him the money and they say, okay, you go buy it for the whole city, and everyone's waiting for him. And you go. And he finally gets an appointment with the doctor, and he's there, and it's finally his appointment. And he steps up to the doctor, and the whole city's waiting for him. He has the money, and he can go and he can buy it and bring it back. And all of a sudden, there's another guy from another city behind him, and he says, "Hey, how was your trip? Oh, how'd you get here? Oh, wait, did you get a delay in the airport? Yeah, my trip was good. Traffic, whatever. Yeah, and how's that friend of ours? 15 minutes goes by, and he's schmoozing with the guy, and the doctor's like, I thought this is Indian of life. I guess it's not so important for you. And, sorry, let's go to the next guy. And then he wants to come back, and he says, everyone's waiting for me. And he comes back to the doctor, and the doctor says, I'm not seeing you. I'm sorry. I'm not wasting my time with people that this is not a serious enough for you. You're wasting your time about other things. I'm not wasting my time with you. By Cain, what was he told? He threw him out. He's not interested. This person that speaks and is mevaza the Indian of tefillah is God Avonim Mitzvah. He's like, Hashem's not interested. Now you're going to come back when it's important. It's too late. The whole place is waiting for you. The whole place is waiting for the Indian of the tefillah, and the person wastes the opportunity. So all of our gedolim have said, and l'dar-daris, that this is an Indian which is at the core of our emunah and at the core of everything, and we have to be mechazik in this Indian. So we cannot wait anymore. We can't wait and push it off and say this time, next time. We need to think and be makabel of proper Kabbalah in the Indian tefillah in general, and this Indian specifically, to maintain the kedusha space of Medrash. So what are we waiting for? We can't be waiting. Maybe we're waiting for Mashiach to come. When Mashiach comes, it will be better. So I heard a story from Rabbi Reisman. Rabbi Reisman said that he thinks this was the most stark Musar he ever heard from Rapam. Rapam was very calm and very, controlled. And he said that Rapam went to Eretz Yisrael one time. And he went to Eretz Yisrael one time, and finally he was waiting for his moment. He was going to go to the Kollel. His emotional moment, he was going to go to the Kollel, and he came back and he was very, very disappointed. He was very disappointed. And they tried to get out, and he didn't want to go back. He never went back. He went once, and he never went back. And the Talmidim trying to push him, and he said, I got to the Kollel, and everyone's schmoozing over there. Oh, how was your flight? Oh, how was this? How are you doing? Yeah, where are you going today? I'm going to get in Getty. And everyone's sitting there schmoozing. And he said the bizoyon was so stark for him, he couldn't ever go back. And then he said, and then I thought to myself, and he said, that the person that talks in the shul is going to talk in the Kollel also. And the person that talks in the Kollel, when Mashiach comes, he's going to be sitting there talking in the Beis HaMikdash also, and Mashiach is going to come over and have to tap him on the shoulder and say, shh, we're bringing a carbon right now. It's not appropriate. So it's not going to change when Mashiach comes either. If we wait now, then it's never going to change. A person is the same person now as he will be later, and we need to take the opportunity to be mechazik in this inyan, in mechazik our tefillas, mechazik in this inyan specifically, and as a tzibor, we will try to be given eitzah maybe what to be makabel and how to be makabel, but every yachid has to be makabel for themselves as well, and the kabbalah that we make should be ilui nishmasam, and mitashem, it should be a source of chizuk to us and to the mishpachas and an ilui for the neshamas as well.
Michel just talked about how Kollel Avonim in the site, that if a person is involved in the Kerech HaTefillah, so the Tefillah will be aimed at him, aimed for him when he needs Tefillah. So what's the Yesod? The Lamai, some people don't take it seriously. Some people don't take it seriously. I sit here in the front, I don't know what's going on all the way in the back of the shul. of the Kollel. I don't know what goes on in any other shul. But Lamais is a pachad neira to think that by Chazar Sashatz, by Kriyas HaTorah, anybody can open up their mouth and say anything about anything. Besides, Amen, Baruch Shemai, because that's all it feels, the oil and Ma'alat Hashem Yisbarach. So what's the pshat hacker? How is it that no matter how many times people talk about it, how many shiurim there are about it, how many divrei hisayis, divrei chizuk, and tefillas, and the Tosas Yom Tov, and all the inyanim discuss how so many averas, so many kilkulim, and so many pagamin happen in the world, all because of talking during davening, and how we don't feel the seriousness of it, and feel the pachad of it, and rather people still go on. Everybody, whatever the Indian is, whether it's coming davening late or whether it's Chalil talking during davening, why do we take it more seriously? Why isn't it something that's mu'ayras and fills it with Yiras Hashem? What's up, Shah? I heard from Rabbi Ephraim Laxman years ago a very scary thing. Rabbi Ephraim Laxman is a very fiery speaker. And Rabbi Laxman said that before Mashiach comes in the final days, the pain and the sorrow and the suffering and the tzares are not going to be physical tzares. It's not going to be the physical pain that we endured in the Inquisition or during the war or any other situations, but it's going to be a spiritual pain. And Rabbi Waxman said, what's the biggest raya? What's the biggest proof they're holding there now? He said the biggest proof they're holding there now is that when I said it's not going to be a pain of the guf, but it's going to be a pain for the neshama, everybody was relieved. Everybody felt like, oh, okay, Baruch Hashem, it's only a pain to the neshama, and I won't have to suffer with my guf. And the fact that that's the hargosha, that's the reaction, the emotional idea behind it, that if it's only a pain for my neshama and it's not a pain for my guf, then I'm relieved. Baruch Hashem, it's only my neshama. But Ephraim Waxman said that anybody who had that hargosha, it means they're holding tifarai, they're holding very deep in their gullus, where a person relates to his guf, his body, much more than he relates to his neshama. A Malek, holding by Purim now, Bez Hashem, Pasha Zachar, and a Malek, it says, Shekarcha b'derech. And Chazal say, what does it mean, Shekarcha b'derech? Karcha is a lashon of krirus, a lashon of coldness. We don't relate to Torah and mitzvahs with the fire and the passion which is necessary for Torah and mitzvahs, but we relate to the Torah Kadesha, we relate to Yiras Shamayim, we relate to Ruchnius as, okay, a nice thing. Samuchrach, al the nisht. Maybe I'll take it seriously, maybe not. Shekarcha b'derech. A Malek cooled us off. And instead of having that fire like we once had, to get up in the morning is difficult. To get to that, I'm just as guilty as anybody else. But coming to davening on time is difficult. And to take davening seriously and think about it, rather think about the shtos of the havolim that we deal with on a regular basis. Instead of thinking about tefillah and Yiras Shamayim and the Rebbeinu Shalom, we think about shtos of the havolim, business deals or whatever it might be that we're thinking about. Shekarch b'derech, a Malek cooled us off to the degree we can't take ruchnius, spirituality, Torah, tefillah, emunah with the tremendous passion and koyach that it deserves. And all is kama by tefillah. When I don't take tefillah seriously. I remember when I was a bocher, I'll say a story about myself and my father. And I made a reishim on me, and I remembered it since then. I was probably 19, 20 at the time. And I called my father like I did every Shabbos. I called my parents, wish them good Shabbos. My father asked me, so what's going on? I said, well, Hashem, things are okay. And I was busy polishing my shoes, getting my shoes ready for Shabbos, as I was speaking to my father. My father says, Aaron David, what? Are you here? What? He kept asking me questions. I wasn't answering him. I wasn't paying attention. The mice I wasn't. I was busy polishing my shoes, getting ready for Shabbos. My father says, Aaron David, what are you doing? What, are you talking to me or not talking to me? I said, I'm sorry. I said, Dad, I'm busy polishing my shoes for Shabbos. I'm sorry. He says, you know what? I also have things to do. And do me a favor. Call me back when you have a minute, all right? And that was it. And Lamaisa, at the time, it hurt me. But Lamaisa, when we think about it, we did the same exact thing to the Rebbeinu Shalom. Wake up in the morning and say, my Da'ani, after hitting the snooze button, how many times, whatever. We'll finally get up, wash the tears Sedayim, and the person will get a coffee, or whatever he's going to do. And he has time, whatever. Finally get to Shachris, enjoy around a little bit, schmooze around with people. Finally, we were Mechav in the Shah to get to Baruch exactly at the time, while saying the minimal amount of tefillos we possibly can. And I think to myself, I'm just as guilty as anybody else. I think to myself, when I get up to Shemona Esrei and I turn to the Rebbeinu Shalom and I say, Hashem Yisbarach, please give me a parnasa, give us refuah, save us from coronavirus, save us from this, bring the Geula, Yerushalayim. And as we're saying the same words, we're thinking about carpool, thinking about the electric bill, thinking about a business deal, thinking about whatever new status update, I don't know, whatever it is that might go through a person's mind. I think to myself, if my father, they lived in Kollel for many years, can turn to me and say, you know what, David, do me a favor, call me when you have a minute. When I'm important enough that you can talk to me without polishing your shoes, then I'm more than happy to speak to you. But until then, do me a favor, go polish your shoes, call me later. And it's a Chalila, scary thing that the Rebbeinu Shalom is going to say, oh, singer, you came to daven. Haha, okay. So when you have a minute, when you start thinking about your coffee, you stop thinking about you're going to have your breakfast, and you stop thinking about carpool, you're going to stop thinking about an email, come back to when you're ready, singer. And the Rebbeinu Shalom is screaming at all of us, and we have to feel it. When you have a minute, come back when you have the time. If you don't have the time, then go do what you have to do, and don't come to me and think the entire time about other Zachen. A pachan neira. Shekorcha b'derech. Where the coolness and the coldness of this world. The Rebbe Rayatz talks about this, how Gashmias and physicality and the involvement with physicality and Gashmias makes us cold inside. And the Shem Yeshua brings the such a thing as Gehenim Shel Sheleg from the Zohar HaKodesh, a Gehenim of snow. And the Shem Yeshua explains the Indian of the Gehenim Shel Sheleg is the Pshat, that all the mitzvahs that a person fulfills with their coldness, when a person is too busy to think about what a mitzvah is, when a person is too busy to think about what he's doing and sitting in front of a Gemara, or a pasuk in Chumash Rashi, or an Ashir, or his Eiris by Shal Shuddis, or by davening, when we're so busy thinking about other things that we're cold in our davening, the Gehenim Shel Sheleg, the Gehenim of snow is that a person has to endure to mechaber such an aveira. And Purim, the din is Kollel Paishiyad Noistim Loi. We stick out our hands. Anybody who sticks out a hand, you have to give to them. And there's a halacha of Matonis Avyonim. If there's Avyonim and they need something, we give to them. As much as we possibly can on Purim. And the pshat is because Purim is a yom of tefillah. A yom where we call out to the Rebbeinu Shalom, Keli, Keli, Loma Azavtoni. When Esther's tefillah is, and Mordechai's tefillah is, and not the Shemayim. When Havichu and all the tzaras, all the difficulties, and all the tzaras that people were going through at the time, where they looked like the future was so bleak, and it was so dark, it was so scary when the Persians were going to come, the Parsim were going to come and kill us all. And we didn't know where to turn. And we turned to the Rebbeinu Shalom and said, Hashem, save us. We are the Paishtei Yad. We are the ones who stuck out our hands. We are the Aniyim V'Avyonim. We're the poverty-stricken individuals that stuck out our hands and Hashem answered us. And the halacha l'deis was Matanis Avyonim and B'Kollel Paishtei Noistim Loi, because all of us are a gather of Avyonim clapping the Rebbeinu Shalom. All of us are a gather of Kollel Paishtei Yad when it comes to Hashem Yisbarach. If we take tefillah seriously, we can stick our hands to the Rebbeinu Shalom and turn to Hashem Paishtei Yad and become the Avim to Hashem Yisbarach, and He gives us all to it. He gives all of it, everything we need, He gives to us. But all that's totally, all that depends upon how seriously we take tefillah. We have to make sure that the Rebbeinu Shalom can't say, you know what, come to me when you have the time. Don't do me any favors. Don't do any favors. Shachris is not a favor. Mincha is not a favor. Mar is not a favor. If it's something important to you, where you can turn to me and daven to me and say Psuki the Zimra and Karbonis and because Krishma and Makab Omach L'Shanayim, and you can say Shona Esrei Oyimim Na'il Ma'atzilas and Mispal to Rebbeinu Shalom Kavonis to Rebbeinu Shalom and say Asher V'Letzion and say Shir Shal Yoyim and Keteris and Aleinu. If you're ready to do all that, then come. But if you're too busy, then don't come. Because all it is a bizoyin. We have to makabel on ourselves, Zecher Nishmas. There's still Heilige Yidden who are makbet on Yoni Tefillah, who are makbet on not speaking during davening, not speaking during Kriyas HaTorah, and bring our tefillahs back to where they're supposed to be. To awaken ourselves that Yiras Shamayim that we have to have in order that our tefillah should be Oila L'mayla. Mechias HaMolek is not being Meicha only as some nation that attacked us how many thousands of years ago. But the Ikar Mechias HaMolek is the Amayla that sits inside of me, as Karcha B'derech, and says to all of us inside of ourselves, that's not so important, and it's not such a big deal, and what's a big deal already? So what I spoke during Chazar Sashatz, so what I spoke during Kriyas HaTorah. Awaken ourselves that no, it is a big deal. That you want to be saved, and you want to turn to Hashem Yisbarach and Tefillah, we have to make the time, we have to make it important, and B'siyat Tishmaya should be Zoyich to Meicha Amalek, to destroy him completely, destroy the coldness that's within us, be filled with the fire of Hashem Yisbarach within us, and Bez Hashem our tefillahs and our davening, our rikudim that we have this Purim, dancing and singing about the Simcha being Meicha Amalek, should be Zoyich, that all that dancing, it should be a Hakdama, a beginning, a prelude to the dance in the Beis HaMikdash. B'kar v'meinu Amen. Amen.
So we were just now Zocha to hear Baruch Hashem from the Rosh Kollel about the importance of tefillah, about the importance of being mechazik in tefillah, being mechazik in tefillah in general, taking tefillah seriously, appreciating the opportunity of tefillah, understanding what we're doing when we're davening. And I want to go through some of the Mekaros in Shulchan Aruch, where it discusses the specific halachas of not speaking during davening. But before I do that, I want to make sure that it's absolutely clear. It should be already from what we've heard, but I don't want to give any different impression. It should be absolutely clear that if it would say nothing in Shulchan Aruch, if it wouldn't say in one place, one sifkat in Mishnah Berurah, it would never discuss that one shouldn't speak during davening. It should be so obviously pashut, it should be so clearly evident from understanding what davening is and from what we need to accomplish during davening and what the opportunity of davening is. By appreciating that and understanding that, we would realize that talking has absolutely no place. That talking during davening is the antithesis of what we're trying to accomplish with our davening. And not only that, but it distracts others around us who do take davening seriously, who want to take davening seriously, who want to take this Hisaris, this Kiddush Hisaris seriously. And by our speaking, we're undermining all of that. We're undermining our own tefillahs, we're undermining everyone else's tefillahs. So as I said, if we would say nothing in Shulchan Aruch about not speaking during davening, it wouldn't, nothing would be missing, nothing would be lacking, it would be so blatantly obvious. But at the same time, it says in many places about the specifics of not speaking during davening, and it's kedai always to know also the exact diktuk halacha that should help a person, that it should be coming from another direction, besides the Hisaris direction, coming from the Diktuk Halacha direction as well. So I just want to go through some of the Mekaros. First of all, in Siman Nun Aleph, when it's talking about the beginning of davening, about Psukei de Zimra, etc., the Mechaber says, Tzarech lizar milahafsik b'dibur, a person has to be careful not to interrupt with speech, extraneous speech, Mishiyaschel Baruch Sha'amar, ad Sof Shmona Esrei. It's the Lashon of the Mechaber, Mishiyaschel Baruch Sha'amar, ad Sof Shmona Esrei. And the Mishnah Berurah there is Mosif, then on a day when there's Nefilas Apayim, a day when there's Tachnun, it means not only at Sof Shemona Esrei, but till after Nefilas Apayim. And on that the Ramah says, V'afilu l'tzorech mitzvah ein l'daber, even if one is speaking not just about the things we heard about, the examples of that may possibly exist, but even l'tzorech mitzvah is something that's indeed important, something that needs to be taken care of. But this is not the time, and this is not the opportunity, and this is not what you're supposed to be doing when you're davening. So even with Tzarech Mitzvah, it's us to speak Mishiyas Baruch Sha'amar Ad Sof Shmona Esrei. Then there is one possible exception: L'Tzarech Mitzvah after Yishtabach, before Kaddish and before Baruch Hu. There are instances where if there's a Tzarech Mitzvah, one is allowed to speak, but it is something that is not typically practiced. And if one abuses it and says, well, I finished Yishtabach, I didn't start Berachos Kriya Shema, so I'm sort of in the middle, I can chap around something I want to speak. If it's not within the Geder of Tzarech Mitzvah, so in that, the Shulchan Aruch says that it is also for a person to speak then, and he uses the lashon that Chozrin Aleha Me'arche Milchama. This is Mechaber Siman Nedalit Siv Gimel HaMesaper Ben Yishtabach Liyotzer. One who speaks after Yishtabach, so he finished that, and he hasn't started Berachos Kriya Shema. But if he speaks then, he says Averuhu B'Yado V'Chozer Aleha Me'arche Milchama. Chozer Aleha Me'arche Milchama means that when Klal Yisrael had to wage war, they could only take people who were naki mikal chet in order to be certain that they would be successful, victorious. They had to take people who had no chatam on their hands, and even this chet of speaking between Yishtabach and Yotzer, which is a time when sometimes you could speak. For a Dvar Mitzvah, when it's very wichtig, very important, one could potentially speak, but if one abuses that and speaks for any other purpose, it's chozun aleh me'arche milchama. I just want to share with you also another taich. What I told you is the simple taich of chozun aleh me'arche milchama. There's another taich which I'll share with you because the Mishnah Berurah does. Mishnah Berurah brings it down. It's definitely not al pi derech hapshat, but the Mishnah Berurah brings it down here, so it's certainly worthwhile sharing. It's from the Eliyahu Rabbi B'Shem Sefer Matei Moshe. That what does it mean? Chozrin aleha me'arche milchama. He says, because we know that there's something out there called klipos, some certain ruach hatumah, which is battling us. When we're here in the Beis Knesset, in the Beis Medrash, and we're trying to be mispalel to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, we're trying to have our tefillos accepted, we're fighting a battle. We're fighting a battle against these klipos which are trying to negate the koach HaTefillah and trying to undermine our efforts. So it says these klipos that are being mevatel the tefillah, being oleh, al yedei psuka de zimra, when a person says psuka de zimra, machrisim osam, he cuts them out, he nips them in the bud, he knocks them out with the koach of psuka de zimra. Ukishesach, but then if after psuka de zimra, before yotzer or, again at that juncture when there is sometimes a heter to speak, but he abuses a heter and he speaks something which is not permissible, chozrin aleha b'shvil haver azos osam hagedudim shehem marichim milchama beinenu b'manasein harabim. In other words, chozrin aleha me'acham milchama means all those forces, the ruach hatumah, the klipos as they're called here in the Svarim HaKadoshim, which are trying to be mevatel atfilah, they were disabled, they were disarmed by our psuka de zimra. But now that you spoke after psuka de zimra, before beginning Berachos Kriya Shema, they're right back in place. They're right there where they were. They're back doing battle. So it's extremely important not to speak then as well. And then the Mishnah Berurah goes on and says, Avada, there's no shaila, even if there's a heter of tzarech mitzvah before Yotzer Or, but once Kaddish is said, it's Asr. Once Baruch Hu is said, Zichron, it's Asr. And Yafilu ben aprakim shel Kriya Shema va'afilu shel psuka de zimra afilu b'tzarchei rabim u'dvar mitzvah. It's Asr to speak then even tzarchei rabim and dvar mitzvah. There's no heter. There's no heter to speak at all any other time. He says both during psuka de zimra and during kol shkein during Berachos Kriya Shema, and even b'lashon hakodesh makes no difference if you speak in lashon hakodesh. It's the same iser. We don't even answer Baruch Hu Baruch Shemo at those times, even during Psuka de Zimra, because it's not, even though it's a chash of a thing, but it's not brought in the Gemara, so we don't even answer Baruch Hu Baruch Shemo, Kal V'chomer ben Benoshel Kal V'chomer, to speak Stam Dvarim B'Teilim, or, as we said, even in Tzarech Mitzvah. Then we heard before from the Kollel the idea by Chazar Hashatz that Lo Yasiyah Sichas Chulin, etc., V'imsachu, Gorim Bo, Gadol Avonim, and so as we heard about. The next juncture is Kriyas HaTorah. Kriyas HaTorah says, again, Mefurish. Again, a place where it doesn't have to say. If it would have said, as we said, if it would have said nothing, it would have been obvious. But it does say, in Siman Kuf Mem Vav Sif Beis, the Lashon of the Mechaber, Kivish Yehischel HaKari Likras V'Sefer Torah, once the Bal Kari begins laning, Osir L'Saper, Afilu B'Divrei Torah, Afilu Ben Gavra L'Gavra. From that point on, from the time the Lashon of Shulchan Aruch is once the Bal Kari begins, it's us to speak then till the very end, as we'll see in a moment, and even Ben Gavra L'Gavra. And the Mishnah Berurah is mostly from the Magen Avraham and from the Bir Hagra, that it's not just when the Koreh begins, but Misha Sheniftach Sefer Torah, Afilu Lo Hiskal Adayin HaKoreh Likros, Gam Ken Asur. From the time the Sefer Torah is open and they're ready to begin, if you want to chop around that last couple of words, no, even at that point, it's us to speak for the entire Kriyas HaTorah. And as the Mechaber says in Sif Gimel, Asur l'saper kishahamafter kari b'navi ad sheyashlim. Even during the Haftarah, kamo b'Sefer Torah, just the same as when they're learning from the Sefer Torah itself. The halacha says Mefurish Adin in the Mechaber again in Siman Kuf Mem Vav Sif Gimel that one is not allowed to speak then as well. And here the Bir Halacha utilizes the opportunity to write the following words. He says, Kol ze hasifu tochachas megula. This is an open rebuke. La'osan ha'anashim ha'mafkirin as nafshosim v'saprim v'sicha b'teila be'eza kriya. People of Chas v'shalom are, to use the Lashon of the Bir Halacha, mafkir es nafshosim. They make themselves hefker. They give away, the Shabbos give away their olam haba. U'mesaprim v'sicha b'teila be'eza kriya. Zog the Bir Halacha, and ben gavra legavra. Madach ben gavra legavra sha'sefer sosum asur l'saper in chavera kama yigdal ha'isr be'esh ha'sefer pasuach. How much greater, how much worse it is to speak when the Sefer Torah is open. Shebi zoyinu kishemeser oznam lishmo dvar Hashem. The Gadol avono b'neso. The Bir Halacha borrows the words of the Mechaber here, and he writes again this phrase: "The Gadol avono b'neso." Other places where it's brought down the Issa to speak, it's brought down Friday night by Vayichulu. Ein ledaber b'shah she'omer Vayichulu, v'lo b'shah she'omer shliach tzibur bracha mein sheva. This is again a Mechaber, Siman Samaches, if you base. And the Mishnah Berurah there brings one of the Maisim, which if you've seen it, you're probably stuck in your mind from the Sefer Chasidim about a Maisim, a Chassid Echad, that he saw another Chassid. He calls him a Chassid. He saw a Chassid who was nifter. He saw him in a Chalom, and he sees that Panav Morikos. He has a non-desirable, non-complimentary complexion. Panav Morikos. And he says to him, Lama Panecha Morikos. This was a Chassid. And you would think he's in the Olam HaEmes now. He has everything great. He should look like he should be beaming. It should be hard to look at him because of his cluster upon him. Panav Morikos. He's Lama Panecha Morikos. Omar Lo. Didn't say because I was Machal Shabbos once. He didn't say because I accidentally ate treif once. He said, Mivnei shehayisi medaber b'vayichulu b'shah shehaya hatzibur omrim uv'magin avos uv'yiskadel. He answered, because I used to speak. I spoke in shul, not during Kriyas HaTorah, not during Berachos Kriya Shema P'sikah Zimra. I spoke by vayichulu when it's sort of in between. I said, he said vayichulu, and then he spoke. And b'shah shehad when the shliach tzibur would say magin avos. It's the shliach tzibur's business. Will be Yiskadel. For that, it says, is Panav Marikas. Mishnah Berurah in a few places discusses the chomer of not speaking during Kaddish. During Kaddish, he says, person shouldn't even be Mahara b'divrei Torah. He's supposed to be focused totally on the Kaddish to be able to answer Amen and Amen Yishmei Rabbah at the proper juncture. He's not supposed to be wrapping his talis and tefillin at that time. These are all Mefurish in the Mishnah Berurah. And certainly, again, Kal v'chomer, ben b'dosh Kal v'chomer, not to be speaking. So these are some of the places where it says Mefurish, where the halacha said Mefurish, again, besides during davening, but by Kriyas HaTorah, and by Friday night davening, etc., etc., and all the places that it doesn't say, once again, it should be obvious. And I think it's really good to focus on when we talk about being Mekabel. We want to be Mekabel. We want to Mekabel something in order to upgrade our tefillas, upgrade our Avodah Hashem in general. Again, as a schus for the two Greis and Iftarim that the city lost recently. When we think about that, I think one way perhaps to motivate yourself is to say, I'm not a selfish person, am I? I don't consider myself a selfish person, but if I talk during davening, I'm being extremely selfish. It's extremely selfish, because what it means is my conversation is the most important thing. There's a person behind me and next to me, besides the person I'm talking to, who really may not be interested, but doesn't have the whatever it takes to tell me to please, save the conversation for later. But what about the person next to you who's talking Yerei Shamayim, and he wouldn't dream of talking during davening? But when he hears a conversation, especially with something that's Nogeya, it's not so easy to just totally block it out. Other people speaking is very mamshech, and it draws a person as much as he doesn't want to. Everybody knows when you're sitting in the base medrash, only a couple of people, and you're trying to learn, and someone's at the other end is talking. It's extremely distracting. The same thing in davening. If somebody in front of you or behind you is speaking, it's very, very distracting for the person who's not interested in talking whatsoever, but he has no place to move or whatever it may be. So it's extremely selfish for a person to talk during davening. It means he doesn't really care about the people around him, and it could be not for me to say, but it could be together choti umachli as a rabbin. It could drag down a whole tzibur. And we want to do the opposite. We want to be makabel, ways of being mechazik ourselves, improving our avodas tefillah, particularly in this union of being nisr from speaking during davening, and through that having the schus harabim tolaboy. Every yachid that's makabel to improve even a little bit, to take on some area, to do a cheshbon nefesh of where do I need most the tikkun, where do I need most to upgrade my avodah in this area. Everyone who does that, it'll be a schus for himself, and it'll be a schus harabim toliboy, and it'll be a schus for the entire tzibur, the schus the lilu neshama of the great niftarim. Kodesh Baruch Hu should aid us all and assist us all in being successful in this project.
Amen.